Well, that was a different opening, folks. This is the Oklahoma Archery Podcast. I'm David Bosca.
I'm Neil Cooley.
And I'm Bill Hart. Been in Oklahoma since 1976. Been hunting deer every one of those years. I'm admin on Oklahoma Bowhunter page. I'm admin on the Oklahoma Whitetails page. I've got my own page, Hartbeat of Oklahoma Outdoors, that we just went over 16,000 followers this fall. Basically just promoting everything Oklahoma outdoors, fishing, hunting, whatever can be done in the outdoors. I'm going to promote that. It's mainly deer hunting this time of year, though.
Fantastic. It's a good time of year to be in the woods, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Especially with this cold front that's fixing to happen.
I was going to say, this is like Christmas Eve for a lot of you whitetail hunters out there. So
absolutely.
We wanted to have Bill on just to talk a little bit of deer hunting and how it fits into the archery world in Oklahoma. So for everybody out there that lives under a rock, we've had youth season. We're right in the middle of muzzleloader season, but myself and I assume Bill as well, we're probably gonna be bow hunting out there.
Yep.
So give everybody just a little bit of background on whitetail season in Oklahoma and how you're allowed to hunt. It doesn't matter what season, you can hunt with your bow straight on through.
Oh yeah. It's a bow hunter's paradise, to be honest. I mean, you get October 1st through January 15th every year to hunt with your bow. And I mean, you're out there with the gun hunters and like our lease that we have this year, we decided to do bow hunting only. And I mean, that doesn't mean that we, if we haven't gotten anything by the rifle season, we can't pull the rifle out, but we're trying to bow hunt only. And there's guys around us that are gun hunting, and we're counting on them to kind of push the deer into what we consider to be a sanctuary where we're only bow hunting.
It gets real quiet when you're in the bow hunting corner of the woods. So
absolutely. Yeah.
I think that does work into your favor a little bit because they're not really, I don't think they're rutting yet. I think they're starting to kind of nose each other. They're starting, you'll see them at the feeder. They're starting to spar just a little bit on some of my trail cams. The necks are starting to swell up.
Yep.
But what are you looking for to say, prime time deer season? Because I'm the early bird. I know you got your target buck already this year, you were early season success kind of.
Yeah. I got him before he switched into a rut pattern. So really, as deer season starts, it's always hot. And I used to be, when I was younger, I used to take that first week of October off every year, and it was just so hot. And I finally just decided to take my vacations during the rut and spend them that way. But now that I'm retired, I can just get out whenever I want to. But the bucks, the minute it's my opinion that the minute they shed their velvet, they're ready to breed. But the testosterone is built up. They're ready to go. They work out. The sparring you're seeing, the sparring I'm seeing on my cameras, they're working out a hierarchy to try and figure out what the dominant bucks are and what the subordinate bucks are. And once they get that figured out, the dominant bucks, in my opinion, are also going to be the ones that breed the most. They're ready. Like I said, the minute they peel that velvet, they're just waiting for that first doe to come in. And I make some mock scrapes usually the first part of the year. I'll put doe pee in them, and I'll put some testosterone, like a buck scent, some kind of buck scent in there, just to get the bucks interested and coming back so I can get pictures of them, really, to kind of figure out what's there. The second I see a chase, or the second I see a buck nose to the ground following a doe, I start using doe and heat scent. And because I think that's probably about the time that there may be a doe that's come in, there may be a doe that's fixing to come in, but they're looking, they've smelt something and they're ready to go. So I'll mix a little doe and heat in and try to get him even more fired up. This right now, I've always used decoys as well. The first weekend of black powder season is my cue to start using my decoys. And I've had, people used to tell me, man, decoys aren't going to be any good that time of year. But I got video opening day of black powder season of a buck just waxing my decoy, just completely waylaying it. So it gets the bucks out there. They'll come check it out. So when I go out this afternoon, I plan on putting a decoy out and just to see what it'll do.
I always tell people, be careful carrying that decoy in there.
Yeah. This time of year with black powder season or gun season, it's good to wrap it in some orange or make sure you got orange on to keep from getting shot.
I say that's the thing I like to harp on a lot. Wear your fluorescent orange and wear your safety harnesses from the time you leave the ground, because it's bad. It seems like every year I hear somebody taking a tumble out of a tree. So that's my public service announcement for the episode.
Absolutely. I fell in 99. I fell 25 feet, and it wasn't a situation. I didn't use the straps that have the ropes that you can attach all the way from the ground. I just used the harness that you can attach once you get up in there. And I had gone out on a Saturday morning and was putting stands up, and I had put the stand up, and normally I had the chain in front of me and I would hook it. But this time I had the chain on the other side of the tree, and I didn't get it hooked in the little slide. And when I stepped on the stand, it just went, and I went to the ground. Luckily, I wasn't hurt very bad. I separated some ribs from my sternum, and was pretty bruised up. And it took me a little bit to get back where I could take a full breath. But, it was a situation where I wasn't doing something the way I normally do it. And that's when you get hurt, is when you're doing something that you don't normally do and you're not really paying attention. And it scared the crap out of me. It really did. It made me, from that second on, I was careful as I could be, getting up in stands, getting on stands, putting stands up, and I've always worn my harness, but putting stands up is a time when people fall too.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say, do you hunt northeast, south, central? Where's your hunt go?
Northwest this year, by kind of northwest of Kingfisher. And really, we don't have a whole lot of trees. I mean, we're hunting out of blinds, ground blinds. We got a couple of big, I got a tank blind that I hunt out over my food plot, but we got ground blinds, and I've got a few ladders that are up against some cottonwoods up there, but there's not a whole lot of spots where you can put a tree stand.
It's the great flat part of the country.
Yeah,
at least you can see them coming, though.
Yeah, that's true.
I hate it when seems like every time I'm in a ground blind, they kind of sneak up on me. It's like they buzz the tower, and you look over out of a window and they're staring right back at you all.
Oh yeah, or they just appear and you got to come to full draw and get on them, before they get out of bow range.
Yep. So, real quick before we get too far into it, Dave's favorite question to ask is, tell us about your hunting setup.
Well, are you talking about my bow?
Yeah, what kind of bow you shoot?
Yeah, I got a PSE Decree HD, and I've been hunting with it for probably 5 or 6 years. It's just a good smooth bow. It's got a good wall. You get back to full draw, and it's easy to hold, and I like it. PSE, I've hunted with PSE since about 89 or 90, right around there. And I've just never had any issues with them. And so that's what I keep going back to. What's your arrow of choice? I've got the PSE Radial X Weave. Yep. I shoot a 400 spine, and I've got Muzzy 3-blade 125s, and seems to do the job. I mean, I've never had any issues with them. Nice.
I miss my Muzzy 4 blades. I shot those probably 5 or 6 seasons between the time I was 16 and 22, I think, somewhere in there. And I blew through stuff on 3 different continents. I mean, shooting 54, 55 pounds, 400 spine, full metal jacket. I was getting pass-throughs on everything from whitetail to African beasts and everything else. So, well, they're good. They're a strong broadhead. And there's been so many times when I've almost switched to mechanical. I mean, there was one year when I shot them all summer, and then right the week before the season, I went back to my Muzzies because I just couldn't get comfortable with them. But I'll probably hunt with them at some point. But the Muzzies have never done me wrong. You get enough of them, it's hard to switch. It's like, man, I got 4 or 5 practice heads and 9 or 10 sharp ones ready to go and replacement blades. It's expensive to make a change. Oh yeah, it really is. And this buck that I shot a couple of weeks or a week and a half ago, my Muzzy, and I got a complete pass through. Watch the nocturnal hit him and then disappear and then come out on the other side, and it was double lung, and he didn't go more than probably 60 yards. That's what you want to see. Yeah. It's perfect. Worked out nicely. What's your off season look like? How soon do you start shooting a bow, getting ready for hunting season? I really don't. I'm not one of these all year round shooters, but I will start shooting in the first part of the summer, just to start getting those muscles in shape. I mean, I try to go to the gym quite a bit during the off season and stay in shape, but those muscles, you really can't get them in shape doing anything but drawing a bow. So, during the first part of the summer, I'll start shooting and just kind of get comfortable with it. Shooting bags, shooting 3D targets. What's your preference? I got a block. I just shoot a block, and then I've got a 3D target that once the season starts getting close, sometimes I'll just go out in the woods
and put the 3D target where I think like a deer would be, and shoot them from the stand, just to get a mental picture.
There you go.
Yeah.
Practice how you play. Kind of.
Absolutely.
It's not a bad idea.
Do you like a fiber sight? Do you have one of those rolling sights?
I just got the standard 3-pin fiber optic sight, and I put the top one at 20, and usually I don't have to shoot farther than that. So
I was going to say, what's your distance are you comfortable at?
I think 30, to be honest. I really don't want to shoot past 30. I mean, I would if I had to, but I haven't had to in a while because the way I set my stands up. It's funny when I black powder hunt or when I gun hunt, all my shots are really close because they're all the bow stands. I've all set them up as all bow stands, and I rarely have a shot more than 20, 25 yards. The one I shot a week and a half ago was 18.
That's the way to do it. About 18 to the front side of the feeder, 22 to the far side of the feeder.
Yeah. That's right.
And how far do your little Debbie stash?
Oh, they're right in the pocket that's facing me.
What's the biggest misconception about hunting whitetails you see floating around the internet out there? Because we live in the digital age. It's all the newest best thing all the time, and you kind of got to just tell people keep it simple. So
absolutely.
What's the biggest myth out there?
Well, I think not playing the wind is a huge mistake for people, thinking that they can cover their scent, because you really can't. I mean, when you get right down to it, you can mask it a little bit. You can mix it with some stuff that may confuse the deer as to what they're smelling, but you really can't cover your scent. And I try to play the wind every single time. And there's been times when I've had a sketchy wind and I've gone ahead and sit in the stand, but as a rule, I try not to sit in the stand if it's got a bad wind.
You're an admin on a lot of these pages, and I'm sure you got to jump in and set people straight.
Oh yeah.
What would you say is the top 1, top 2 things that you read about and go, oh, like that? What kind of stuff comes to mind?
The people that say high fence automatically as soon as they see a big Oklahoma deer, they've never seen a deer that big. They're not sitting in their stands long enough to see deer that big. They're shooting the first little buck that comes by, and they don't think that there's the giants that we have in Oklahoma, which we should be keeping a secret anyway. But
so
there's some giants.
They automatically go to the high fence.
They automatically say, that must have cost a lot of money, or how high was the fence on that one? So many comments like that, and so many comments, just about kids. During the youth hunt, you'll get the comments with, people saying, well, basically that's just his dad's, extra tag, and that's not what it's about. And we don't post that kind of stuff. If we know that something's high fence, or we know that, it's kind of sketchy whether the kid took it or not, we just don't post it.
It's definitely hard to sidestep some of those landmines out there on the internet. And you hate to see it because there's so few people that hunt anymore. You want to try to keep everybody united, and you want to look good in a public forum, especially. But man, these guys go to war in the comments.
They go crazy about the crossbows. Making personal attacks on people that are shooting crossbows. And, I'm 65 years old and I still can shoot a compound, luckily. But a couple of years ago, I had shoulder surgery and I did not have the strength to hold a bow, back and to pull a bow back. And I hunted with a crossbow one year, never got a shot, but I hunted with one year. And, it's kind of a pain in the butt to carry out. It's like a rifle, you can't carry it like your bow. And I don't know, people jump on people shooting crossbows. They jump on, just anybody that's doing it different. And it's divisive. It serves to divide our ranks, and that's not what we need. We need people supporting each other no matter how they're hunting. If it's legal, support them, support them being out there in the woods getting after it.
Yeah, it's because you never know if they're like a young kid and they want to hunt that first couple seasons with a crossbow. You don't know that they're not going to want to, shoot a vertical bow here. As soon as they can pull, it was 40 pounds when I was a youngster. I think it's down to 35 or 30 now. Mm-hmm. What I'd heard, I was like, I need to check the regulations, because when I was a kid, you had to pull 40 pounds, and youth rifle was a antlerless season. And I see them out there now. They're tagging giants, man.
Oh yeah, these kids are. Well, their dads are people that manage for giants, and have hunted giants, and they get their kids into it. And really, if you start a kid off hunting and you say, okay, you can't pull a bow back yet, but we're going to let you hunt with a crossbow. But when you're old enough to pull the bow back, you're going to switch to a compound, and let them know right off the bat that that's what's going to happen. And they're not spoiled to a crossbow thinking they're going to do that the rest of their life. You know, they know that when they can pull enough back, they're going to go with a compound.
If you had the power, would you give crossbow their own season along with the other methods of take, or would you include them in the bow hunting?
Man, I don't know. Yeah, they have an advantage, but I mean, the advantage is they're just flatter shooting. If you can't shoot, you're still not going to shoot any better with a crossbow. You know, they shoot farther, which makes people try to take farther shots, which is a bad thing, to be honest. And, you know, you got guys out there shooting 60, 70 yards. And if, you know, and I'll say this, if you've sat in your backyard or sat at the range and shot 60, 70 yards all summer long and you're just dead on, yeah, shoot one at 70 yards. Or if you're going pronghorn hunting and you want to, you know, sight your crossbow in at 70 yards, you know, that's fine. But these guys that get out there and shoot 20 yards, you know, at the range all summer long and then get out there and try to shoot a deer at 70 yards just because they have a crossbow, I don't agree with. But I don't know. I don't know if I'd make it any different. Maybe put it in with the black powder season. Yep. You know, maybe let them go a week, but maybe the black powder season and the gun season, you know, make it where you can do crossbows in those as well. I mean, you can anyway, but make that your legal season.
It's definitely hard thinking about it because you don't want people hunting less.
Right.
But at the same time, as soon as you do that, you got the trad bow guys going, well, why does the compounders get to hunt the whole time? So
right. It's a vicious
regressive.
Cycle. Yeah, it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, I know enough of the trad people that they're doing a little bit more work getting those deer inside 20 yards every time. I mean,
definitely, for sure.
You can reach out there and touch one at 50, 60 if you're practiced up, but that recurve,
exactly,
different ball game, man.
No. Yeah.
Say, what about the I guess the other hot button issue is, and a lot of people online talking about this right now, trying to get Oklahoma to be a $1 state.
Yeah, I can see both sides of it from a scientific, you know, from the scientific direction, but I don't know. It wouldn't do me any good. I've had the last 3 leases I've managed them for big bucks, and I've had big bucks on all of them. One was out by Eufaula, one was out by Calumet, and then this one up by Kingfisher. And it's just, you know, if you get the right piece of land, there's big bucks there, and you're not gonna, you know, make it where you can only kill 1 buck off of there doesn't really, I mean, change what you got on the land. You know, I mean, it's still going to be there. Now, from an Oklahoma herd standpoint, I get that. I get what they're saying about, you know, it's going to make where a guy's not just, you know, shooting that first buck, you know, to get it out of the way and then waiting on a big one. You know, he's going to wait and maybe shoot a bigger one and let that little one live. Yeah.
I was on the phone with my buddy in Kansas, and he's got buddies that are killing 160s, 150s. And he's like, man, I think I got one that's going to go 130, 140. And he's killed a 140, and he's just holding out because he's got that one tag. And he's like, well, I don't know I don't want to be done this early, but I don't know if something bigger is going to show up or not. So it's like, I remember when I was little, it was a $3 state. And I know we're down to 2 now, and that's kind of a happy medium. So you can, you know, take one you think's a trophy, take one you're going to be proud of, and you still got one to, you know, stay in the game with.
Yeah.
But it's going to change the way a lot of people hunt if we go to a $1 state.
Oh yeah. And I mean, it's not going to change the way I hunt. I'll still hunt I'll get a target buck and I'll hunt him, you know, and I don't really support culling, especially in a non, you know, isolated situation. You know, but because you can't really affect genetics culling deer, you know, out in the wild. It's my opinion. But, you know, we've got some deer up there that we as a group of partners decided that we would take out of the herd. And, you know, I'm going to go up there tonight and stay for a few days. And I've got this one kind of picked out. He's got a really nice right side, but his left side just goes up and makes a straight up turkey foot, you know, and you know, who knows if he's a genetic problem or if he's you know, messed up one of his pedicles, you know, over the year. You know, there's no really way of telling, but I think I would shoot him, you know, if he steps out, but it's not going to change what I do. The only difference it would be was I'd be done now, you know, with bucks, and I'd be looking for does and managing for next year.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll say big fan of shooting does, many as you can.
I don't know about as many as you can. I know that we've got a bunch up there, and I'm kind of waiting until the rut gets done to kind of see what we've got left doe wise. But we've got 3 family groups up there with maybe 6 to 7 does a piece, and then they've got their yearlings with them, and they're starting to run their yearlings off. But we've got 3 different feeder situations up there, and there's doe groups at every feeder. And we feed to supplement, and we feed to just keep the does around. And there's a bunch up there, and we'll probably kill 1 each. We'll probably kill 3, but we're going to wait till after the rut and just, till after the bucks get done with them.
With the amount of deer you've gotten over the years, the quality of the meat that you get, how have you found, and how do you tell people that's out? How do you tell people to help save their meat? Do they just gut it and rut it? Do they field dress it? Do they go ahead and ice chest it? How is your recommendation?
Well, this one that I got a week and a half ago, it was still pretty warm. And I gutted him immediately, and I had some big bags of ice in the ice chest, and I just filled up his chest cavity and gut cavity with ice. And basically just to get him to cool down quicker. And then I took him back to the house. And the next morning, I took him back, and then I washed him out completely with the hose. And then I took him to Thunderbird Meats down here off of Highway 9. And I think the person you pick to process your deer, if it's not you, is very important. I mean, if you got somebody that really doesn't, that's just a cow cutter, and he's not, processing a bunch of deer, he's just not going to worry about it. But these guys out here process deer. They process hundreds of deer every year, and they do a really good job. They shrink wrap the stuff. They do it exactly like I wanted. And I've been going to them since about 2010 or 11, and have never had any issues. But I think the processor, your choice of processor, is very important.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Getting it cool, really gut them quick. Get it cool, really get the meat cool, and get them to the processor as quick as you can.
Yeah. Do you agree with gutting him out, leaving the skin on it? Let's say if you're going to be out 2, 3, 4 days and packing it full of ice on the inside like that, have you ever had to use the skin in a reverse way of trying to keep it cold?
I never have, but that's probably a good idea. I've never had to do that. Okay. Now, if it's cold outside for 3 or 4 days, if it's in the 40s, I wouldn't worry about it. I'd get him gutted, and he'd be just fine. They say you're supposed to age them anyway. I don't age them, but they say you can hang them up in 40 degree cooler, 30 degree cooler for a while to age the meat, but I don't worry too much about it. But in a warm situation, I don't know. I just wouldn't feel comfortable no matter what I did. I don't think, unless I cut it up and put it in an ice chest, leaving it out 3 or 4 days. I would have to cut it up, I think.
Yeah. Do you agree with putting it down in ice water, or do you want it out of the ice water but in the ice chest?
I want it in the ice chest I would put bags of ice in there with it instead of putting ice on top of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. There's many different trains of thought there that I'd say it's honestly, it's method. It all starts at the beginning when you first pull your knife out, knowing how to skin it, knowing how to gut it, knowing how to take care of the meat. I think, and people have had some bad situations, and they always blame it on something else.
Right. And it's probably they cut the gut, they cut the guts. They got guts up inside there. They didn't clean them out. I think before I take every single deer to the processor, I take it home and wash it out with the hose, just to get every possible thing, get hair out of there, get whatever has gotten in there, try to get it out to try and save the tenderloins mainly. But, people they'll cut the gut bag. They'll get guts on it. And they won't wash it off. They'll drag it around in the back of the truck to show all their buddies, and then they wonder why their freaking meat tastes like, somebody's shoe. Yeah,
that's right. We used to always tell first timers when they'd come to our shop, and it was like, get a gallon of water out. Go buy it. If you don't, go use a milk jug, whatever. Mm-hmm. Just take that and rinse it as soon as you got it. That's used to be our go-to thing. Yeah. Go in the back of your truck and you always got it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I've usually thrown them in right in the ice chest, ice on top. The last couple of years, Dave's had me throwing a little bit of salt on there just to kind of brine them out.
Yeah.
What was that measurement, Dave?
Do what?
What was the measurement on the salt?
If I'm not mistaken, I'd have to go back and look at my old deal, but it's usually about a half cup of salt in the ice chest. And after about 24 hours, change out the water, add a little bit more, and it's just an osmosis process, and it just helps draw out that wild gamey blood and replaces it. And it really does a wonderful job. Yeah. You're not curing the meat because there's no sugar present.
Right.
You have to have sugar and salt to cure. So all you're doing is drawing. That salt is just drawing out the blood. Yep. So that's always done a great job.
Yep.
Between the time you get it in the cooler and to the processor. Sometimes I'm just cutting steaks and grinding up hamburger and trying to do jerky, but every once in a while I'll splurge and drop it off and get some of the snack sticks and summer sausage.
Summer sausage. Oh yeah. I got to have some summer sausage.
My favorite with summer sausage is the jalapeno cheese, but the standard stuff, man, cut it about 3/4 inch thick. And if you throw that out on a grill, let me tell you, that'll bring it alive. It's amazing flavor.
Yeah, good stuff.
I've never tried grilling it. You can grill summer sausage?
It's fully cooked, but you're using that basically to heat it up, especially if you're out at camp and everything. Cut it just a touch thinner, and it'll heat up, and that stuff it'll bring all those spices back to life, man. It's amazing the flavor in it. Nice. Get your good old cast iron biscuit, have it ready, and open that up and shove that in the middle. There you go. You got your breakfast. Let me tell you.
I'm gonna have to go eat here in a minute.
What do you take into the stand with you to snack on? What's your go-to?
Little Debbie Star Crunches. Yep. And I put them in a Ziploc because the bags they're in are loud as hell.
I hadn't thought of that yet. Sometimes it is the packaging, isn't it?
Yeah. I take them out and put them in a Ziploc.
Wow. I saw a thing that said we got all boycott Little Debbie's during hunting season until they give us a quieter wrapper.
Exactly. Yeah.
But usually about the time you start rattling on it, you look over there and something's peering through the trees at you. So I think they know. I think they know they're waiting on you to reach for a snack and not be ready.
Well, they want one too.
I bet.
I duck hunted a lot when I was a kid, and I had a buddy that used to, whenever, that time of the morning, about, 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning where there's nothing flying, he'd go, all right, I'm going to step out of the blind and play like I'm using the bathroom. Get ready. Because it seemed like every time you got out of the blind to do something, the ducks came in. So
yeah.
They know. It's a sixth sense.
Oh yeah.
What do you think the biggest new trend in hunting is? Like, what's been the thing that sets people apart successful wise? Is it trail cams? Is it saddle hunting, public land? What's the biggest new technological thing?
Well, I think saddle hunting has really taken the industry by storm, man. There's tons of people that are going to that. Even Craig is Craig Griffith's saddle hunting now. Mm-hmm. And, all my buddies at saddle hunt are trying to get me to do it. And I'm like, when I was in high school, I worked as a lineman, in the oil field and building line. And we used to get up there with those safety harnesses. And if you were up there for any amount of time, your butt would fall asleep and your legs would fall asleep. And I was like, man, I just can't imagine being up at a deer stand and, my legs start to fall asleep. But they assure me that stuff's good. And well, they use it and they're successful with it.
I think the 2-panel saddles that split one high and one low is what keeps you from losing that blood. Because I was in one for the first time a couple days back, and it's one of the 2-paneled. So you got one up on your lower back and one underneath your butt. Yeah. And it didn't have any numbness, didn't have any tingling in my feet. So now getting in and out of it, if your platform is higher than that top climbing stick, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
Because you got your lineman belt to get all the way up there. Well, this tree has branches here, and here. So every time I'd get there, I'd take one around and put it on, take the bottom one off, take another step, put one on. And everybody now is like, oh, just climb up there and hook in once you get there. I was like, well, I'm past bouncing age, man. I don't care if it's 16 feet or 26 feet. I don't want to hit the ground.
Right.
So, but I do say, it has led to more people at least being strapped in off the ground, because I'm just a ladder stand hunting guy. I'll still go out in a ladder stand and never strap in, and I don't even think about it. It's like, man, it's going to catch up one of these days. Yeah. So trying to get more people to wear a harness, for a climber or lock on stand or ladder stand, whatever the case may be. Yeah. It's like, man, you don't know if it gets a good frost and you put your foot out there on that platform and just slides right out from underneath you.
Or just, turn weird. Because I've been up there before and been trying to get on a deer, and you step, you're not looking at your feet. And, and that little platform on a ladder stand is pretty small. Mm-hmm. And, you're standing there and you try to move your feet around, and I'll get a situation where just my heel will be on the stand for whatever reason. And I'll go to move and it's like, whoa, but you should always wear your harness. Always.
It'll scare the crap out of you.
Oh yeah.
Or that when you're starting to nod off and you're worried about falling forward. It's like, oh yeah, you never been more awake than when you actually realize you get to sleep and then wake up and there's nothing underneath you.
Well, if you put the strap that you have around the tree high enough, you can just lean forward like that and just it'll hold you, and you can just sleep as long as you want to.
That's almost sounded like experience.
Right? Well, a buddy of mine told me about it.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
That's the only thing I haven't figured out in the saddle is how I'm going to get my mid-afternoon nap.
Right.
Because that late in the morning where it's like, nothing's probably going to show up, but it's too early to leave. That's a good time for a little snooze. Yeah. And I haven't quite figured out how to lay my head on that rope system coming right. It's that big cross of them right here. Yeah. I got to figure out a way to get my hat brim in there and just lean forward into it.
Yeah.
About the only thing.
But there's so many gimmicks. And I when I was younger, I bought every one of them. I tried everything that you could possibly do. We went from, you guys are probably too young to remember this, but do you remember the string trackers? They had you could attach a little ring to your arrow that had a barb in it, and it would when you would shoot, it would suck string out of a little plastic thing, and supposedly what it was supposed to do was it would stick in the hide of the deer even on a pass through, and the deer would run off and he would pull string, and you would just follow the string to where the deer was. And I tried those. I mean, I tried everything you could possibly use. But I get now, I think with the advent of lighted nocks, I think that was the last thing that I really went wholeheartedly into. And I love them. I mean, I love lighted nocks. I think that was a great invention. But Rob, what's the ozone generator? Those things. I don't know. I never did get one of those. I wanted to. And I've heard people on this side say that they're great. They cover your scent. I've heard people on the other side say, they're worthless. They don't do anything, but I don't know. I think there may be some good to those.
I like them in a tree. It's got to be above you because your scent is hot and it rises, and the ozone is heavy. It falls. I have had the worst luck in a ground blind with an ozone because I think it just overpowers them. And this was 2 weekends ago. I saw every deer out of my ground blind that I'd have cameras pictures of so far, but only the 2 fawns came all the way into the feeder. Everything else stood at the edge of the tree because I'm down there in the bottom with some thick stuff in a blind, and I think that ozone kind of boogers them just a little bit. Yeah. And if you're up in a tree and it has room to fall to the ground and disperse, I don't think it scares them quite so much, but it does have a smell to it. It just smells like nothing. And nothing's better than, if they're smelling you, that's not good. So it would work for the same reason that like a nose jammer would work. They smell something, but it's not human. Okay, fine. We can work with that. It's going to calm them down. But when you're on the ground and they're right on top of you, they don't really come into the feeder. You can just tell that something's making them second guess what they're smelling. Yeah. So I think if you're up tall in a tree and it's above your head, no worries. If you're on the ground, it might not be. And I've had deer come into the feeder with the wind blowing straight to them in that blind. But it seems like for the past 2 or 3 years, I've used it on the ground, and something has just been kind of alerting them. Yeah. Because I've seen all these deer come into the feeder all the time. No big deal. But that ozone's pumping. It definitely puts off some kind of scent. I use it when I leave my hunting stuff in my car. If I go into work, I'll just turn it on and let the battery run, cleans everything in the trunk. The whole car smells like ozone after. They use it in like hotels. Like if you get a non-smoking room and you go in there and smoke a cigarette, the hotel has ozone. They'll come in there and it cleans that cigarette smell out. So it does eliminate, like sweat, BO, that kind of stuff. If you're pumping gas in your camouflage in the morning,
right.
something like it can be used for that. But actually in the field, sometimes I think it alerts them. And I mean, I've never asked a deer. We're never going to know for sure. But I have had it going when I killed my 2 best bucks, but I was hunting the right wind. And I was
it may be also as they're coming in, they know there's a smell there. They smell the different things in nature, that, and now all of a sudden there is no smell.
Right.
Yeah.
That itself will alert them going, whoa, that may be what you're experiencing is it's the absence of smell is what's just got their neck hair on prickly. Something's not quite right to them.
Yeah.
That's what they're sensing, I'll bet. Yeah.
That's the thing. And if it doesn't fully eliminate your scent, I think it could cover it, which is like, I mean, nose jammer is really, really strong smelling. And it's like, if you ever try to talk to somebody that's wearing too much cologne and you can't even hear them because they smell so strong. It's the same thing for a deer. And I'm like, well, maybe that's part of the benefit to it is that they're smelling something different, but I don't think the smell is strong enough to disrupt their nose. I think they can still smell something out there in there,
Yeah. I've been using here recently. I've been using that. Well, the last 2 or 3 years, that Conquest Sense Evercalm in the stick, and I like it. I mean, I have no concrete proof that it's covered my scent or masked my scent, but I know that it kind of tends to calm them down a little bit. I use it also on my mock scrapes, putting it on the licking branch.
Yeah,
and it just makes them interested. It's supposed to smell like a bunch of deer. So.
That's the stuff in a deodorant stick.
Yeah. The stick. Yep.
I'll wipe it on the edge of my blind, just take the cap off and smear it on there. Calms them down a little bit.
Yeah. What's funny though is that stuff, I used to wipe it on the outside of my blind and it dries white. And I was putting these big white streaks down the side of my blind, that I brushed in and camoed in. And it was like a ray of sun shining on them. And I had to start doing it on the inside because it dries white.
Yeah. There's been a million different things out there, and I always like tossing ideas around for what works for people. What back in the day, it was always raccoon urine. We can't smell like people, so put a little raccoon urine on you.
Yeah. Our skunk scent, the big thing when I was coming out, I started bow hunting in 79, and Burnham Brothers made a skunk scent that was in 2 separate bottles, 2 glass bottles. And the only way it smelled like a skunk was if you mixed the 2 together.
Okay. And
so you would take a piece of cotton, put it downwind, put a drop of each one of those drops, and it was a skunk scent in it, and it supposedly mask your scent. Well, the thing about it is the only time a skunk sprays is when he's alarmed. And the deer know that. The deer, when they smell skunk spray, they know that the skunk has been alarmed by something, and it's actually an alarm scent to them. And my mom used to tell me, don't let that stuff break in the house. Well, I came home one afternoon and took my coveralls off and threw them in the washer, had my skunk scent in there, and both bottles broke and mixed together in my mom's washer.
Oh,
she I don't think she ever got the skunk smell out of there.
Woo. Golly.
Every time that water hit it again.
It was and it was the most acrid, nasty, get in the back of your throat smell that you can imagine. If you got it on you or got it, which we always got it on us. You can't have a scent, out in the woods. Even now, doe and heat scent, you try to put it out and you end up smelling like a doe and heat.
Yeah.
Lesson 101 to every man, regardless of age.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting to take my little baggie of toilet paper out and washing my clothes in it. And you take it out of the washer and it's just shredded toilet paper.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's like, you didn't check your pockets again, did you? Like, nope. Let me pick this toilet paper out one little tissue at a time.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But I'll be damned if I'm going to go out there and be caught without it. All right. That's going to be priority number one.
The bottom line is the gimmicks, man. They make so much money for the people that design them. I mean, because 90% of the deer hunting population buys them. The latest, greatest thing, and all it takes is somebody like, any of the like Lee Lakoski, if he says he's using something, thousands of people are going to buy it. It doesn't matter. Those big name hunters, if they kill a deer and they said that they the only way they killed it was they used this cover scent, God, everybody buys it, and I used to be that same exact way.
It's a marketing. It
is
got the deepest pockets to market. Yeah.
I'm telling you, there's some stuff you can't sell though. One of my buddies, his name's Richard. He's one of the sheriffs out at the Jackson County Courthouse. Shout out to Richard if you're listening. He keeps telling me I got to throw campfire smoke all over my hunting clothes.
Right.
He's like, that's all, hunt the wind and keep it smoky, man. And it's the only thing. And he swears up and down, I'm going to see good results if I try it. It's like, man, but I can't get that smell. If I don't like it and the deer don't like it, I'm stuck smelling like a campfire for weeks, if not months. I mean, you got to almost buy new hunting camo.
One day, just go wash it. I get smoke out of the clothes every day.
Oh, I can't tell you how many times I've sat around a campfire at deer camp and just kept moving because the smoke kept, getting on me. And I was like, man, I can't smell like smoke tomorrow morning. But everybody, I got buddies that swear by it too.
Yeah, let's say that's something that you're never going to be able to bottle that.
Right.
You can't like, maybe you can.
Yeah, there's cologne out there that is smoke smelling cologne. Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I'm telling you, there is those out there.
I don't know. There's so many gimmicks out there, and I think it's kind of on us to use it all and take it all with a grain of salt and trust what works for you. Like I've had the last 3 years, I've been using DKM scents, making mock scrapes, and I'm out there second week of October trying to start a mock scrape. And it's like, well, they're really not kicking the dirt just yet. It's not really time, but I'm trying to manipulate them into getting go. Yeah. It's like, well, somebody's going to be the first one, and they all kind of follow the leader. So if you can you can walk through the woods and find them, but there might not be a good tree to hunt right next to it. So if you got a stand that you like and you're right-handed and you know that this is the strong side shot and there's a licking branch right there, well, go over there, get you a little garden hoe, rake you a 2 foot by 2 foot spot up, get past the grass and put you some of that high dollar doe urine and buck urine mixed in there and spray a little bit up on top on the licking branch. And I think it works. I think it kicks off the whole thing just a little bit earlier, but that's just from what I've seen. And there's people that say, they're not really interested in that yet till it gets a couple weeks later in the season.
Right. Well, they use the licking branches all year long. I've got videos of deer using licking branches all year. Deers that have bucks that have just, shed their horns, and you'll see them hitting a licking branch. Like you said, they're not necessarily, kicking the dirt and pawing the ground yet and peeing in it, but they're communicating with each other by that licking branch. And if you can find a good licking branch and get a camera on it, you can get a picture of every single buck in your area at that licking branch, if it's a good one.
Yep. So growing up, who was your outdoorsman idol? Who was the guy that growing up you was like, was it, Fred Bear, Chuck Adams? Who was
Don Wallace?
Well, I watched Wallace I grew up in Texas as a young kid and moved up here in 76, but I watched all the Roland Martin. Oh my God, I thought Roland Martin was a god. Jimmy Houston, Bill Dance. I was into bass fishing way before I was deer hunting. But then once I got into deer hunting, it was mainly the Texas guys like John Wooters, Al Brothers. Murphy Ray and Al Brothers wrote the first definitive book on deer management and genetics in deer. And Murphy Ray lived right around the corner from me when I was about 10. And I saved up my money, my allowance money, and went down and bought that book, the first edition of that book. And I took it around for him to sign it. And it was just those guys were just idols of mine down there. Those South Texas guys that, the guys on the King Ranch, the guys on those big ranches down there. I wanted to be a whitetail biologist growing up and just never pursued it. And I wish I had at this point.
Well, cool. Yeah. Help me out. I don't know of anything.
What's the easiest thing to do when you're taking somebody new that's never deer hunted? Like what's the best advice you can give them if you're going to sit with them or you're going to sit, 100 yards away? What are the 3 things you tell them going out for the first time?
Just sit, be still, and just watch and just observe. I learned so much, when I switched over to somebody that wanted to kill big bucks. I mean, I always wanted to kill big bucks, but you go through a period where you're just killing the first thing you see. You're just wanting to kill a deer. And when I decided to move beyond that and start waiting for some bigger deer, I learned more than I ever learned from any book, any video, anything, just by sitting in that stand and letting deer walk and watching what was going on. You learn about deer behavior. You learn what point of the rut they're in. You learn so much just sitting there. And if I had somebody that was new, I would say, get out there and sit and just watch and learn. And, and if a deer walks by, figure out where he was going, why he walked by, where he came from, work when you finally get down, go down there and look and see where he was going, see where he came from, just learn from the deer, let them teach you what's going on instead of just, trying to learn it all from a book or from somebody telling you or from a video.
Just trust your eyes, what you're seeing out there.
Yeah. Get out there. You'll learn more just watching than anything else.
Yeah.
Try to tell them, if you're going to shoot a doe, make sure it's not a button buck.
Right.
That's what
right.
Just glad I'm always hunting within, 40 yards max. I don't need binoculars when I go hunt. It's just, I'm not shooting that far ever. But if I ever glassed one of them, I was using my video camera the other day, 30 power zoom, just looking at the top of this doe's head going, I think I see little nubbins in there. She going to get real lucky today, because I can't tell if she's got little horns underneath there or not.
And, there's two schools of thought, like I talked about earlier. If you're like me and you wait till the end of the season, basically, to take your doe, then you've really got to be careful, because, the little button bucks are about the same size as their moms now, body size. And you have to really make sure, early in the year, if you want to take them in, then you've got, quite a bit of size difference, and it's not, you're not having to check to see if she's got bumps. Yeah.
The spots are usually a dead giveaway for me.
Yeah. And the size, there's some button bucks, that there's a couple of those on my feeder that come in that have twins, and both of them have a buck and a doe. And it was just amazing how fast that buck grew and got bigger than that doe, his sister.
It's insane.
Yeah.
I saw an article the other day that talked about they're getting kicked off at 1.5 years from their mom, and that's to basically prevent inbreeding.
Right.
But if you shoot that doe, she's not going to kick them off. Those young bucks are going to stay on that range.
I saw that article.
It's like, man, if that doesn't incentivize a guy to go shoot as many does as he can, because if they got twins, at least one of them's a buck, right? Yeah. 90% of the time. I mean, at least one, if not twin bucks. It's like, well, you hate to kill a doe that's popping out twins every year.
Right.
But if I can keep that buck here on my little place and he thinks that's home range, well, I'm 4 or 5 years away from having another stud on the hit list.
True. But you take the chance of him breeding with his sister, and, he could have a sister that hangs around too, because the doe fawns generally hang around, and that's what ends up making the doe family groups. And dispersal is there to run that buck off, so that he's not breeding with his mom and his sister, and there's not a whole lot of inbreeding going on. So you take a chance of him breeding his sister. But yeah, that you definitely, if you've got a good, a good genetic going, and you want to keep the buck fawns around, definitely shoot that doe. I mean, I read that article too, and that made sense to me.
You got to shoot the sister too. That's
right. There you go. That'll keep him from. Yeah.
Well, see, that's the biggest challenge for me, because I'm only 3 years into chasing horns. I've been a deer hunter since I was 9 or 10 years old. You just walk down there, sit in the blind, see a deer, shoot a deer, drag it out, and get to cutting it up. And that was deer hunting to me.
Right.
Well, trail cameras come along, and you start seeing something with some horns on it. And I think I ought to pass up all the other bucks till he comes out. And I'd shoot all the does first, and never saw him 1 year. So I started passing the does and trying to get that buck killed. And now it's like, I don't walk into the woods unless there's for sure a target buck and the wind's just right, and I have him patterned to where I can see him. And it's almost like it's a struggle to make hunting fun again. It's like, how do I keep this as a hobby instead of just pursuing this one mature deer that I know is in the woods, and he's there sometimes and he's not the others.
Right.
It's like, how do you balance that between, I just want to go kill 4 does in a weekend, That's what I'm after.
And, when you kill one early, like I killed mine on the 15th of October, and it's kind of anticlimactic. It's like, well, crap, the chase is over. I killed my target buck, and which I was glad to do it. And I was really excited. I was, a great sense of accomplishment, but now I'm looking towards next year, maybe killing that one that we considered a cull, and maybe a doe, and just kind of watching and learning what they do on this new lease and to move on into next year.
I've got 2 of them on my place up at Skytook that are a spike on the left side and a full rack on the right side.
Yeah.
And one's a short one and one's a tall one. And I'm starting to think that there's some kind of genetic thing going on up there. I'm like, I don't know that I want to waste a tag on it, but I sure got some buddies that would love to kill the first buck. I bring them all out. I say, shoot as many does as you want. Just make sure they're not a button buck. And, all the bucks are 4 corns or basket racks right now, because I think I killed them all last year. So it's going to be a down year as far as horns go.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking, how do I get excited about going to the woods? How am I going to keep that motivation? It's like, well, look, freezer's got to fill itself. I know, Dave, it's season. I know.
But I get excited when I see big deer, and it doesn't matter if I've got a chance to kill them or not. Like these 2 big ones out at our lease, I ended up killing that drop time, but they ran around together all summer and were running around up until I shot the one with the drop time. But the morning before I shot mine, I saw them both walk by at 62 yards, and they were one of them. The other one is a giant. I mean, he's even bigger than the one I shot. And God, just to see a deer like that on the hoof in person is incredible. And if I go out today and see that deer, I mean, I'm not going to shoot him, because we made an agreement among the lease members that we take one good mature deer, one cull, and then whatever does we want. But I'm not going to shoot him. I'm going to let my lease partners have a chance at him. But just seeing a deer like that gets me excited. Even if I don't have an opportunity at him.
That's when you take a picture of it,
send
it to him, and go, "This is where I'm at right now."
Mm-hmm. Yep.
My biggest thing is I've always shot them early.
Yeah.
Last 2 years was October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Yeah.
When I got 3 biggest deer I've ever shot, but I never had that mature buck move back in. Like, I know everything in the woods. I've got 6 cameras on 4 acres of trees. I know everything. I know every acorn that falls down there. I've got a high definition picture of it. And I shot them so early in the season that I'm sitting here thinking, well, somebody's going to move in. Something's going to come knocking through the woods like, hey, there's nothing around here. That'd be a good place to call home. And it hasn't happened in 3 years. And I'm like, well, maybe it's just a smaller patch of timber than I thought. Right. Or I don't know, because it's got does, it's got bedding, it's got food. Ought to be a good place for a guy to live.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That was always the thing. It's like, yeah, you shoot that big buck, wait a week and see what shows up, because they know, one of them's not on the hoof anymore. And I haven't seen that dominant buck move in thinking, well, this place is good as any. Might as well chase does here.
Well, we're on the Cimarron River up there. So it's I'd say about 100, 150 yards from our southwest corner. And there's going to be deer coming through there during the rut. So I fully expect to see more big ones here pretty quick.
I believe it. It's going to be an interesting weekend. I think we're going to see some big ones hit the ground.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. My girlfriend's going out of town next week. And I was like, okay, you picked the first week of November to plan this trip with your friends. That's not a good thing. We need to rethink that next year. You can do it before October 1st, and then it's me. I got October 1st. I got it, especially November. I got it. November's sacred. I got to have November to myself.
Oh yeah. Are you going with her on the trip, or
she's going with her girls, but we got a dog here that I can't leave all day. So I'm going to have to be really selective with the times I go up to the lease.
Yeah. It's tricky when it's I got to drive 2 hours to get a sit in. And It's like, man, how am I? The day job's getting in the way, bud.
Right.
Yeah. I'm ready to be retired.
Hey, it's awesome. It's unbelievable. I worked at UPS for 40 years, and I used to take the week of Thanksgiving, and then that became so busy that they said, okay, nobody can take after Thanksgiving week on. And so I would take the week before Thanksgiving, and then they bumped me back another week. So I couldn't even take up the week before Thanksgiving when I would always take, which is still a good week. But yeah, it's just now being retired, I can do whatever I want to do and go whenever I want to go.
That's the way.
Except for when my girlfriend goes on vacation the first week in November.
You can have teach that dog how to track, man.
I know.
That's your tracking buddy.
He's only a year old, and his nose is awesome. So I'm definitely thinking about doing that.
Have you ever had to call a tracking dog for anything?
Oh
yeah. I saw one work for the first time last year, and on the October 4th, and we were going to go look for it. The deer only ended up going 140 yards, but she said it's been certified but not field proven. And if he's for sure gut shot, and it was liver gut, I had gut bile on the ground, so we backed out that night. She goes, "It's too hot for you to go walk all over it and let the sun come up. I'll come for free just to see what this dog's going to do, but I got to be in there at first light." And it brought a little dash hound. I mean, just all the way through the woods, sitting on the deer at the end of 140 yards. And I'd never seen anything like it. That was amazing.
Oh, it's crazy. I shot one in 2020. I shot a real big buck. I named him Badonk for a honky tonk badonkadonk, because the first picture I got of him was with his butt to me, and it was huge. He looked like a cow. So I named him Badonk, and he was a big, non-typical, just big buck. And I shot him in muzzleloader season, and it went. I held on the point of his shoulder, trying to drop him right where he was, because I was afraid he's going to jump back over the fence and go back in the deep grass. And I shot, and I missed my mark by about probably 3 inches, but it went up above his spine on his neck and went completely through. Well, he hit the ground and then went back over the fence and took off. And I went down there, found blood, called the guy that was north of us where he'd gone. He said, "Yeah, go look for him, whatever you need to do." Climbed over the fence, followed blood for about 10 yards in the high grass, and just couldn't find any more blood. And I called a buddy of mine that knew a guy that had a dog, and he brought him out there. And he was I want to say an Airedale. It was some kind of like a dog like that. He looked like a big schnauzer, but he wasn't a schnauzer. But he came out there and he went right to that freaking deer. And it was a full moon night. And I can remember walking through the woods, and the guy was ahead of me with his big light on, and the dog was working. And I was walking just through the woods, by moonlight. And he goes, "Hey, here he is." And I was like, "Oh, great." He said, "But he's not dead." So I walked up behind him, and this deer had bedded down and was just sitting there looking at us. And he had him in his spotlight. And he said, "Man, I think if you'll come back in the morning, he'll be laying right there." Because we had found blood going out both sides, once we got up into the woods. And so we left, went back out, and came back the next morning, and he had gotten up and was gone. And there was blood in his bed. So I called the guy back, and he came out there, started at the bed, and took off into the grass following his deal, and hit a skunk. And when he hit that skunk, it just shut the dog down. And he said, "Well, man, just, look for him, and we'll come back out here if we need to." So I got permission on 3 or 4 different places north of us, and walked all along this creek, and never could find, buzzards, the deer, nothing. And 14 days later, he showed back up underneath one of my feeders, and he had pus coming out of both sides of his neck, but he lived and showed up the next year. And then somebody killed him about halfway through the season, but he was a big old buck. But the dog, to get back to the original premise of that, the dog was unbelievable. I mean, just got on it, kind of took a wrong turn at one point, but then he brought him back to where he had found for sure blood, and that dog went right straight to that buck, and there, when I say blood on both sides, it wasn't like a highway of blood. It was just he was definitely shooting blood out, and the dog got on it. It's crazy how good they are.
Tell left side, right side.
Mm-hmm.
That's I love shooting them. I love eating them, but my favorite's tracking them. That's just, it's something primal about it.
Yeah.
But before we hop off here, tell everybody where they can follow along. I know you mentioned a couple different web pages. Y'all be out there on the internet, use the resources, because there's people out there that have been brand new to hunting, and we're not saying you can learn it all from the internet, but you can definitely pick up some good nuggets of information. So
definitely
tell everybody where they can follow along with you.
Well, I'll start with my page. It's Hartbeat of Oklahoma Outdoors. I'm on Instagram as well, Hartbeat of Oklahoma Outdoors 2024. I started the page in 2018, and I built it to over 16,000 followers, which, in the grand scheme of things, isn't a whole lot, but it's a lot of people, watching what we're doing here in Oklahoma. Send me your pictures, send me your stories, stuff like that. I appreciate that. I post anybody that sends me a picture, if it's a decent picture, not all, completely bloody or just gross, I'll put it online and put your name and people like that. Oklahoma Bowhunter, same thing on that one. Craig gets a lot of the pictures on. There's 2 Oklahoma Bowhunter pages. One is just Craig's page, and then one is for us and the public and for people to ask questions and post stories and post pictures. And I don't mind people messaging me. There's people that message me and say, "Hey, I got this situation. What do you think?" And shoot, I'll give my opinion. I don't hold back. I want everybody to be successful. So, they can find me on those pages. Oklahoma Whitetails, Oklahoma Deer Hunters. I'm a moderator on that page. They can go to that page and ask questions. Just ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask a question. Because these guys, like myself, and I still get out there and there's things that I don't know, and I'm learning every day. Even at my age and having hunted for over 50 years, I still, learn stuff every day from other people, and people just starting out definitely need to ask questions and just get on those pages. And, a lot of times you'll get people that'll just really make people feel bad for asking a stupid question, but there's no stupid questions really. Just ask them and there'll be a good answer in there somewhere.
That's it. Yep. Get out there and go learn by doing. Every time I go out of the woods, I figure out another way not to kill a deer.
Right.
If you do it enough, you'll be pretty good by the time you're retired.
I've never had a sit that I didn't do something stupid and make a mistake. There's a mistake. Sometimes you can get beyond the mistake and go ahead and drop one, but there's mistakes made every time you sit.
It's going to happen.
Yep.
Well, Bill, thank you for sitting in with us. I appreciate swapping deer stories and being a resource for everybody out there. I know you're about to head out to the lease, so I don't want to keep you too long from it.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me, man. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on.
That was a good time. We're going to put your links to your different Facebook pages in the description.
Okay.
And when this comes out, anybody out there, use us as a resource. We try to help you. If not, send us your pictures. We want to champion your successes. And if you're hanging off the ground, put your harness on, y'all.
Yep.
We want to hear from you, not about you.
Absolutely.
Big thanks to all our sponsors here, H&H Archery, Cooper Heat and Air, and Summit Bowstrings. So y'all give them a like and follow as well. And let's go hunt this cold front.
All right, man. Good luck.
Thank y'all.
Take care, guys.
See you guys.